So I'd like to call to order the Audit and Finance Committee meeting of Monday, September 29th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Schultz.
Here.
Brunig.
Here.
Blackwood.
Here.
All right, proof of posting.
The agenda was posted at the upper and lower levels of the Amundsen Center, Badger Bank, the website, and the post office.
Okay. Up next, we got approval of minutes for October 14th, 2024. And I was a little bit flabbergasted that we went back pretty much a year before we had a...
Yeah.
So...
Blackwood will make a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th, 2024.
All right, do we have a second?
I was not here, so I'll abstain.
I'll second.
I wasn't here either.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You can still vote.
Abstain.
It's minutes as presented.
All right.
I'll just abstain.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I wasn't here.
Nope,
so I,
that's
you
okay.
know.
I'll put you down as abstain.
All right, moving on to number 5, public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? I think most of you know the drill. Just state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, Gail Tufty, 314 Oriole Lane. A couple items to consider cutting, and I've talked to other people in the community, even people over 70 in the community. They question whether the senior meal is a necessity or if it's just a social time that we're spending a lot of money to support. And if it couldn't maybe be changed to just coffee instead of a meal. They don't pay much for it, which is great, but there's other businesses in town where they could go for $3 and get a cup of coffee and have a very social time, because I know that's important for older people. The other thing is, I guess I'm wondering, as I understand, there's 2 full-time police officers or sheriff's deputies working Cambridge and Deerfield, and I'm not sure what that is costing us. I'd have to look it up, but I guess I wonder if Cambridge has that high a crime that we need that much police or sheriff coverage and costing us. Those are just a couple items. I'm sure there are others. So that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who else do we have for public comment? Come on up.
I just had a few questions and comments.
Most of you know you, but for those that don't, if you could state your name and address, please.
Jackie Fry, address is W9098 Blue Waters Pass, Cambridge, town of Oakland. Moved from Cambridge to the town of Oakland. As far as budget and finance, maybe some of these are inaccurate, and if they are, please correct me, but why are we paying the past village clerk, Lisa Moan, something to the tune of $100,000, like a payout? What is the status of the July 5th accident that the ambulance was in? The cost, I think, was around $23,000, and there possibly was a grant to cover that. The Fire and EMS Commission expenditures are expected to be, I think, $1.54 million for 2026. That leaves the Fire and EMS Commission with a deficit of about $79,000. Where does that money come from? The 2026 projected Fire EMS budget, I think Cambridge's is $589 and some change. Where will that money come from? This kind of stuff should be very concerning to everyone, as I'm sure it is to all of you. Why does the town of Oakland appear to have, and this will be a question that I have for the town of Oakland, why does the town of Oakland appear to have no interest at all in returning to the commission? Apparently you, Kristen, you've reached out to them several times and have gotten nothing back. So I'm curious about that. And the status of our former EMS Deputy Chief Jason Sierra, I think, the lawsuit that he has against EMS, because he was apparently terminated without due process. That was filed on September 4th. I suspect this will end up costing more attorney fees for everybody involved. How did we get here? Isn't that the question of the day? The spending has to stop. We have to stop stealing from Peter to pay Paul, because the money is not there to steal.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Any other public comment? Okay, if not, move on to number 6, unfinished business, fee schedule update.
I will take that one. And so I do apologize that item was missed from the packet, but I can provide an update. It's not ready for action. It was on the Plan Commission agenda last Monday. It will continue to go to the board. I have been working with MSA Building Inspection and Planning and Zoning to ensure that all fees are there. Shared today, and it's one of those things, as new projects come up, the people from MSA that are helping, we realized we didn't have land division process in our fee schedule, so that's something I need to look into. And basically, just ensuring that all of these services that we work with, and it's all outsourced, I work with them directly, because we can't have full-time planning, zoning administrator, building inspector, and whatnot. But making sure that the Village of Cambridge gets the fees paid back by the developers. And then I've also created a pre-development agreement. So those are all things that will be part of the fee schedule, and you will see in the next village board meetings, plan commission meetings. May go to other committees such as Public Works, because there's so many different areas. It's not just one, and it's all going to be on one document instead of having 2 to 3 different fee schedules. So that's my update, and I apologize for not having the most recent updated one, including in this packet. I think it got missed, but that probably would have put us over 600 pages. So my apologies on that one.
Okay. Any questions on fee schedule update? So Lucy, do you have an ETA on when that will be presented, and are you going to just present it to the entire board then, or?
I will be presenting it to the full board. I do want to have it completed and passed, and it will be a working doc, just like any resolution. We can amend it at any time if there's something that comes up, but I absolutely want that passed by the second board meeting in October, because as you know, we've started working with MSA Building Inspection, and the way that they charge and stuff, we need to adapt, or it's gonna start affecting us. So I would say for sure, but you may see it in the draft form even in the next one, because I'm still looking for feedback and want to try to get it better grouped by categories. And yeah.
All right. With that being said, we're going to move on to number 7, new business. And A is capital improvement projects.
So in the packet, this is page 5 and 6. And those of you that have been to a water or sewer committee meeting, I also created one of these separately for water and sewer. So Sarah, you would be familiar. This one is for the village side. Some of those items cover more than, the village side and water and sewer, but this one's focused. And I've submitted this to Ellers. This is just a draft. I'm trying to think of all the things that haven't been thought of for future planning, and this will be implemented with Ellers in our financial planning. I'm open to questions, to if anyone thinks, the amounts need to be adjusted. The amounts are estimated costs, and also keep in mind, not every single one of these items is going to be done in 2026 or 2027. We don't have it narrowed down to that fine of a schedule, but I'm trying to plan for when things do need to be replaced.
One question that I had is, there's a few places that mention for funding sources reserves. Do we have reserves?
No, but the goal is, that's a very good, the goal is to have money as well in reserves, and that's something that Ellers is going to work with us to do. And then also in this packet, it's not an agenda item, but I did include the, give me a second, I wrote it down here. I did include the shared revenue on page 469 to 471. And then I also, I think that was the other one. I just received the street aid estimate too for 2026. So those items will come into play with these amounts, especially like for number one, street resurfacing and reconstruction. A lot of that, we do get road capital aid and the state transportation aid. So that will play into this as well. So this is not all out of our general fund or our budget.
Okay. Any questions on capital improvement projects? Again, it's a 5-year plan. It's just projected out
Yes.
for 5 years, and where we need to be. So we're being a little bit more proactive instead of reactive when something breaks down. So
Exactly.
7B, discussion and possible action on potential implementation of brush and leaf collection fees. I know this was talked about during, I thought Cody had brought this up, but it was basically a possibility of doing something where if somebody needed their brush or leaves picked up, we would, instead of just making it where we collect everybody's, where it would be, they would contact a website, they pay a small fee, and we go pick it up. I think further discussion with Cody and his public works folks is probably deemed necessary for this. But that's why I put it on my list of things to talk about. It could be an income stream for the village. So.
Absolutely, and we do have a public works meeting that we will be having in October. Vicki was just working on confirming the date with the committee members today, and I do think that would be a great thing to put on that agenda, as well as the public works budget.
Right. It's not my goal to nickel and dime the village of Cambridge citizens to death with fees and whatnot, but looking at, what we need to do. We do have quite a bit of maintenance that we have on the leaf collector. Yes, it's only a couple years old, but we have to somehow recoup that one way or another. So just kind of throwing ideas out there, and maybe a nominal fee for picking up large groups of leaves or large groups of brush or whatever the case is might be an answer to that. So.
Do we know what other municipalities charge?
I actually, so.
Lake Mills charges, I think. Not sure what they charge. I
So
want to say 30, 40 bucks.
In the city of Sun Prairie, they have the recycling center, which is like our compost dump, whatever we refer to as, and they have, and I know that we've talked about this, about an attendant or scheduling appointments, but you pay for a sticker and you go and drop it off. So that is something some other municipalities that I've worked for have stickers, and then so you bag your leaves and you put a sticker on showing that you paid for it, and then we pick it up.
Mhm.
So there are some different things, and I can absolutely have Cody and or Vicky and other staff look into that and just see what other options and bring those to our Public Works Committee meeting.
I think that
Sounds good.
would be a good idea.
All right, unless there's any questions on 7B, we'll move on to 7C, which is year-to-date expenditure review.
Absolutely, I will take that one. This report was requested. It's a little confusing. It's page 7 through 15 in the packet. I personally think that the budget to year-to-date is a little easier because you can see the percentage, and that one's next. But page 7 to 15 is the year-to-date expenditure review.
Lucy, do you know, was there anything that looked really off as far as expenditures?
Fire and EMS,
Yeah.
tree trimming, there are several. I do also want to, in which I shared with the trustees in an email, I do have, I'm in the middle, almost done with my June reconciliations. And so there are also, now this is the revenues and expenditures, there are revenues that need to be added as well. And I spent the whole day today trying to get caught up with those, as well as onboarding a new employee. So I didn't get them all done, but I'll be focusing on those. But really, fire and EMS and the tree trimming and some different public works areas, and then training is very, very close to going over, if not. And then, the audit. The audit, what was budgeted versus what it costed us. That was one. And then, obviously, engineering and planning. When it comes to, which I know that I shared, we will see a decrease with the attorney's fees. So that line item's going to change, and we're going to budget appropriately for 2026 because of the change in direction of who we're utilizing, and it's much more cost effective to use a planning and zoning administrator versus an attorney for rezoning and easements and different things like that.
Do we know why the audit was off from what the projected was supposed to be?
Absolutely, because of the additional work. We have a contract. And so one of the really important things, and I know I shared with you guys, but for the public that don't know, when the audit got done, I made sure that, and I'm still working, it's not perfect, but I'm making sure that all actions going forward for different journal entries and adjustments going forward, that it's all being correctly coded. What was done in the past was things were done a certain way. The audit would happen. The CPA would come in and have all these journal entries, and then things would just proceed, and it would happen over again. And it was just a cycle. So I'm stopping the cycle, and one of the other things I shared is I do have adjustments to go in. Accounts are reconciled from January to June, but I do need to go back and move some things, around that, like an example would be the sewer connection fee. That was going under building permits instead of a separate sewer connection fee for new constructions. So there's a few different things like that that will impact the numbers, and that is why there has not, I was hesitant in releasing all of this until it's 100% accurate, up to date. But that all takes time, and so this is where that's at.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
As far as the fire and EMS costs.
Yes.
I don't know how we can sustain that. Can we like brainstorm,
So
or do you have updates, Kristen?
we, at our last commission meeting, we recommended having a 4-municipality meeting to discuss the sustainability and put some dates out to the clerks to get that meeting on the books, because we all have the same concerns. We're looking at, I'm looking at, and our treasurer is looking at surrounding communities and kind of equal size municipalities, things like that, and what they're paying. We have obviously the innovation planning advisors who are helping us out here with the village. There is also an individual from the Wisconsin Rural EMS who's kind of a consultant that he's been reaching out, I guess, to some of the other communities to talk about it. So it is a concern. You know, we recognize as the commission that it's not sustainable for everyone.
And do we know why Oakland has no desire to come back?
The only confirmation that I have is the contracts that they are receiving right now are less expensive. So there's been a lot of speculation and things like that, but that's the only concrete information that I have is that the contracts are. But they did sign a 10-year contract with Fort Atkinson with a 3-year notice for withdrawal. And I believe it was a 3-year contract with the city of Lake Mills with a 6-month withdrawal. So.
Hey, Chris, is it okay if I ask a question on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you looking at getting out of the contract like Lake Mills did and just, or Oakland, and just get out and do what they did and reduce our costs and move forward?
I think we have to look at all options.
Yeah, that's what that's on the table for the all municipality meeting. I know that's going to be brought up
Yeah.
as one of the options, but then that's a situation too where if we give them notice like we gave last year, we are still on the hook for another year, and then
But if you wait a year to give notice, you're in the hook for 2
right.
years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's.
You should have got out last year.
The problem is if we did that, then we wouldn't have fire service and we wouldn't have EMS service.
Not if you wait.
I
So-
thought Deerfield came and presented something to be covered by them
To the tune of $778,000.
for a year?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what is the current one?
Current one with the costs, strictly EMS costs, it's probably close to $900,000 with benefits and wages and things along those lines.
So it would have been $200,000 less to go with Deerfield?
Potentially. And then we still have fire costs, obviously. So.
And there's a lot of things that go to it. Who made up the board, the commission at the time, didn't have any interest in doing that.
Right.
Cambridge did. We were very much interested in it. We were almost browbeating the guy from Deer Grove to come here and please
We were browbeating him.
try to make some of these folks understand that this should be the way to go, and it just it was not received well from Christiana, Rockdale, and Lake Mills. So we didn't have the votes, unfortunately. So hopefully, does that answer your question, Bill? All right.
I have a question, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just on that topic, we could do what Oakland's doing now and join what they're doing. We just have longer service times for people to get here. That's an option.
It's an option, but it's not a simple option because we're still part of an intergovernmental agreement, and unless we decide to get out, which we would have to make that decision here fairly soon, because we'd have to give them notice before the end of the year, and then the dominoes would fall, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
And then
once those dominoes fall, everybody else is going to take a look at, well, okay, if Cambridge is leaving, then that leaves, Christiana, Rockdale, Lake Mills to pick up, what Oakland left us, basically. So it's definitely an option. I don't want to brush it under the rug. It's something that'll definitely be brought up at this 4 municipality meeting. And that 4 municipality meeting is an open meeting.
Open meeting.
Right now, there's discussion on whether it's going to be here or in Christiana.
Yeah.
But
there's no
I
date
would
yet.
highly recommend everybody that's part of this district show up to that meeting because it's open meeting.
Hope is next week. I have reached out to all the municipalities to get the date scheduled, so as soon as we can, we're trying to have it as soon as possible, just because everybody's in budget discussions and we have to talk about a solid plan. So it will be posted as soon as we know the date. So
Kind of posted on the door kind of
we'll post it on the door. We'll post it. It'll be just like any other meeting. We'll post it on the door, the website, things like, and all the other communities will post it as well too. Because the goal of it is an actionable meeting. You know, we've had other 4 municipality, 5 municipality meetings, and it was kind of more of a bicker session and nothing really. You know, some boards didn't show with all their members to vote and things like that. So the goal is that we're going to have some strong actionable items with everyone participating.
Yeah, where actually the communities can go and you know, it's a quorum amongst the communities and they can make their decisions during that particular meeting. So, so
Can I ask a question about the revenues and expenditures sheet on pages 7 through 15? That's not budget to actual, right? Is the last column bars to the right? That's the total amount that's been spent this year?
Correct.
That is correct.
So that's not budget to actual. Is there actually a budget to actual somewhere?
Yes, there is.
it's a future agenda item here.
Yep,
Is it in the packet though?
it is in the packet, page 81 to 89.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, so where are we at here? We're at D. 7, unless there's anything else for 7C, we're going to move on to 7D, 2024 budget versus year-to-date spending analysis. So what pages are
Yep.
those?
This is pages 81 to 89. And you will see one of the areas that, that definitely sticks out to me is planning. $500 was budgeted for planning.
Still getting there. Sorry.
Oh,
What page are you on?
81.
81 to 89, yes.
There we go. Okay. So you said planning only had $500 budgeted?
Yes.
Interesting.
Make any sense?
Yeah. I think in the past that was always put under the attorney's fees was my guess from looking backwards.
What is the payment in lieu of taxes line item? It's in the first section. It's about 3 from the 4 from the bottom of the first, very, very first page.
Absolutely. Let me. Very bottom of the first page?
No, of
Oh,
the first
sorry.
section of the first page,
Oh, God.
under where it says TIFs. Because it says budgeted was, so actual was from 2024 was 109,832. Budgeted in 2025 was 92,000, but no actual. Do we have any idea what that is?
That no, but I will look into that because it looks like if I had to guess, I I don't think that that was being coded correctly. So it's the actual for 2024 was 109,832. And the actual this year, because there are no payments in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
Um,
I was hoping you could educate me.
So, and if I went back to look at the 2024 budget to actual after all of the entries, I'm guessing that that would be zeroed out. And I,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. That one just stuck out in.
And I'm guessing there was a reason that because each line item, chart of accounts has to be created. There must have been some reason at some point. And I can look into even 2024 too.
Thank you.
I think that's the charge that utilities pay the village for taxes, in lieu of taxes. The charge on utilities, it shows on utility statements, it's credited back to general fund. Look at the audit report.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
So I'm looking at just some of the big ticket items here. Court legal work, Lucy. We have a lot more this year, or, I mean, it's percentage over budget's 220.
So is that under
I'm showing page 84.
84? Thank you. I'll go there.
And I'm just kind of looking at the last column here, percentage of budget already used on this, and that's a lot of supply and expense.
And court did submit their budget for 2026. They do not go through me or the village because it is separate. It is and please, Kristen, you be able to help me. It's the Eastern
District something municipal court.
And it's, I believe, Deerfield, Cambridge, and Rockford.
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay.
I know it definitely includes, because it's part of our reports that we get for the joint
And so
police.
if they have a trial, if they have a trial and need to contact, I believe, and it's a totally different attorney as well. It's not the attorney we use for village things. And so that will definitely be something that when we review what they've submitted to take a look at. Because the judge and the court clerk worked on their budget together. And then that is also shared between, it's split by what community for all communities in that Eastern District.
Yep.
Can we explain to the public why $100,000 was paid out to the former administrator? I was under the impression it was going to be half of that myself. I'm a little confused on that too.
Sure, I can share a little bit. It wasn't 100,000.
Okay.
I'll start by saying that. When any one employee works for the Village of Cambridge for 10 years or more, they're eligible for retirement. Their sick time rolls into a health savings account. Thank you.
Yep.
It's been a long Monday. A health savings account with North Shore Bank. And so there was, and I don't want to say the wrong amount off the top of my head, but I want to say it was 24 to 26,000-ish dollars, and I can get an exact amount that went to North Shore, and it is to be used on medical items in the future. And then that employee also got all of their vacation and sick. No, so that was sick. Their vacation and flex time was then paid out as part of the retirement. And normally, when someone works here and they quit and they're not retiring and they haven't been here, haven't met all those things, we don't pay out sick time. We would pay out unused vacation that was earned, but that would be it. And so therefore, that is where that came in. It's very difficult. Many municipalities face that hardship when an employee retires, especially our size.
And do we know what the total was?
I can actually, give me just a moment and I'll go into workforce and try to get you a better idea.
And that's a common practice for
Yes.
municipal agencies, city, state employees, that upon retirement, they get the benefits paid out.
Is it a written policy? or is
10
it-
years it is?
It's,
It is a written policy.
yeah, it is a written
10 years
policy.
of employment?
10 years of employment, and you have to be eligible for retirement as well.
Because if it's a policy, the auditor should have picked that up every year in the audit and accrued an expense a little bit every year.
Right.
So when they leave,
It's
it
there.
goes away and it doesn't affect your budget. I was told it wasn't a policy and that's why they didn't accrue for it.
It is
You
a
need to
policy
ask your
per.
auditors why they didn't accrue for it. 'Cause
So
it's
the
gonna-
the auditors are auditing our information. They're not necessarily, that's where the financial planners, from my point of view, the financial planners assist us with planning for the future and making sure that we're allocating funds aside for things like that. The auditors are making sure that we properly coded and where we put everything. And that,
I used to be an auditor in the CPA.
yes.
Auditors read all your policies and they make sure your accounting records match your policies. So if it's in your policies, they should have accrued for it. I'm guessing it's not in your policies, but it's a practice.
It's in the employee handbook. It is written in the employee handbook.
But is it a policy?
Yes.
That is,
Yes, our employee handbook
is our
Not-
policy.
Then
Auditor missed it
the
big
question
time.
should be to them, why didn't they pick it up?
Okay.
I mean, they're not doing their job.
It's a good question.
So are there other long-term employees that this could happen to again?
At this time, we only have one other employee that works for the Village of Cambridge that has been here for 10 years and may retire in the next 10 plus years.
So there's no money accrued for that really either then?
There,
We'd be in the same situation.
there is not, but it is employee specific because that employee has to have accrued sick time and not every employee does. If that makes sense.
Sure.
So employee A and employee B are totally different cases.
Yep.
But you look at it by employee when they do the audit.
What was that?
They'll look at it by employee, and as they build up more and more each year, they accrue more and more each year, so there isn't a big hit at the end. It's just,
It needs to start.
yeah. In fact, if
Be
one employee has a
proactive.
whole bunch and one employee has a little or not much, it doesn't matter. It's still the same process.
I want to say the policy has been in place for quite some time because there was a library employee that had the same situation happen with her. And I believe you were on the board when that library employee retired. So
And there were funds to cover it, or basically, no, there never, I mean, it's just kind of.
The library had to cover it.
library had to cover.
The library
See, and
budget.
at that time, I was told it wasn't accrued because it was a practice, not a policy. Now you're saying it's a policy, so it's.
I do think we had discussions about that. Is it
It's a policy if it's
specifically
if it's a policy.
written?
If
It
it's a
is in
practice,
the
It is in
employee
the
handbook,
yes.
and it
is.
specifically writes it out, and that
Yes, it
is,
does.
yep.
Yes, it does.
And it was
it's-
that way at the time of her retirement?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's a pretty standard practice for
you know, I was told
municipal
a lot of people
agencies.
before it ended up not being true, so I'm not surprised.
So what was the amount?
I need a moment, I'm going into our accounting software. But if you guys want to continue talking.
Yeah.
What other questions we got on here?
I know one of the things that came up from, with the sheriff's contract was one of the school resource officer, his overtime that was generated through the school district was actually getting paid out by the village, so that was adjusted, right, Lucy?
Yes.
They got that all adjusted and
Adjusted and
fixed
corrected going
corrected
forward.
Okay, so,
It was paid for by split between Cambridge and Deerfield, right?
not for the school resource officer,
okay.
because he doesn't service the school district of Deerfield. He's
And then
strictly.
also on the police budget we'll get to, but that is just a rough, and that may because with our long tenured deputy retiring.
Yep.
Mm.
One of the things that I was going to ask Lucy is under the fire department 2% dues.
Yes.
So budget status says it's a negative 3,896. That should be just a pass through.
It is a pass-through.
Okay.
That is a pass-through.
Okay,
And
so-
that is most likely a revenue that I have not entered yet.
Entered yet? Okay. Okay.
And I will continue to provide up-to-date ones as I get caught up with
Okay.
the reconciliations.
Great.
Anything more to add on the 2024 budget versus year-to-date spending analysis?
I don't think anything that's jumping out for me.
If not, we'll move on to 7E, which is Treasurer's Financial Report.
So for that, the only treasure report in Workhorse is at the end of reconciliations. And so that would have been May of 2025, as I'm halfway through June. And I will include that in an upcoming board meeting packet. I just did the transaction detail in lieu of that, which is, it's a lot. It's page 90 to 377. And then the treasurer financial report that Workhorse has is not detailed. It literally just gives a number of the cash balance at the end of reconciling that amount. And so I did think that was the most helpful. I truly believe the budget versus year to date is the most useful and easy to understand report. But I do have the transaction details from page 90 to 377, which shows you everything that has been entered in Workhorse year to date. And it's a bit overwhelming.
One of the things I wanted to go back to, Sarah, when you were asking about the fire and EMS, is when we set our budget for the village last fall, Oakland, the official Oakland withdrawal had not occurred. So when the budget was drafted, it did not include that additional portion.
Okay.
So when Oakland officially withdrew, that portion had to be distributed amongst the other municipalities. So that's where that huge change came from for the village.
Okay.
It wasn't that it was, an overspending or a whatever. It was just that initial.
Since Oakland did drop out, though, didn't that reduce the overall costs by removing that large municipality?
It's still staffing the ambulance every day.
So there was no decrease in funding by them leaving. It was still the same overall amount.
Pretty much, except revenue has been decreased.
Dwindled.
So because the staffing of the ambulance is still the same every day, despite the fact that they aren't taking those calls in Oakland. So
Thanks for clarifying that.
And then I do have so for the vacation payout, that amount was $11,304.40. And then if you give me a moment, I will work on the sick time.
Okay, any questions on the treasurer's financial report? It's a lot to take in.
Need to dissect it a little bit more. I didn't have the bandwidth to do all 500 pages.
I have a question, Chris.
Bill, go ahead.
You guys should be asking, are you on budget or off budget? And if you're off budget, by how much? I can't tell by looking at the report.
Yeah, I can't decipher it either.
We are off budget. I can with clear conviction tell you that. And that is, I would say
I know we're off budget with
comfortably
fire and EMS.
400,000, if not more. What was that?
I wouldn't call it comfortable.
No, I'm trying to, because
So where's that cash gonna come from? Where's the money gonna come from? Are you slicing other expenses to try to?
It's going to come from us borrowing. That's where it's going to come from.
Borrow it and not worry about slicing other expenses.
We always worry, Bill.
But we haven't even
do
had a
anything about it.
discussion about trying to cut somewhere.
Just, all we talk about is spend on this board, and there's never a discussion about, can we reduce costs?
I will speak on the borrowing, since I've worked so closely with Ellers. As we didn't get very far in our first workshop, but as Brian Romer made it clear, all municipalities have to borrow. The way that the levy limits work, and I highly suggest anyone that wants to come with Sarah and myself tomorrow in Wanakee from 10 to noon, based on the levy limits and just a lot of our revenue comes in spread throughout the year. So we are never going to be able to just work off of what we have right now, where we're at. And yes, we do need to cut, but we are one of the lowest municipalities with our borrowing right now. And while that does not sound great for you, the other thing we could do is go for referendum and immediately raise taxes. And one of the positive parts about borrowing over 20 years is we're spreading it out. It's not all going to affect the current taxpayers of today. And we have a team of financial advisors assisting us so that we do the most responsible planning for the village. We would literally have to cut, and I know I've said this before, there is not a lot of wiggle room. There's no extravagant spending. I myself pay for my own transportation, pay for my lodging for trainings so that I get the training I needed. Because this community is so upset about every nickel and dime, I'm just taking it upon myself to do what I can.
He's upset because $1 million disappeared in 5 years, and
We didn't have to borrow because we had the money.
And we're 400,000 in the hole this year, and it's like, I guess that's okay.
And just because we can borrow doesn't mean we should.
Right?
Yeah, we can borrow, but
The reason we're 400 in the hole this year is because of fire and EMS, period. Period.
It's not.
It is.
You hired a new employee you had no budget for. You spent money on consultants that you didn't budget. Don't tell me it's all EMS. Quit using that as a crutch.
EMS, $200,000 was budgeted for 2025. The total EMS charges for 2025 is just under $600,000. That is $400,000 right there.
Okay? And so everything else will be on budget, you're saying?
No, that's not
No.
what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm
that's
just,
what you're implying.
that's $400,000.
Yeah, and so you're saying we're gonna be short 400,000 for the year, and Paul is saying that's all fire EMS.
That chunk is fire and EMS.
$400,000 is fire and EMS.
And everything else we're gonna be on budget for.
I've never claimed to stick.
I mean, there are some things we're gonna be over budget, and there's some things
All
we're
right.
gonna be under budget.
Okay.
That's the way the budget goes every single year.
And you've really worked it well for the last 5 years.
All right,
Okay.
enough.
Enough.
Gone.
Enough.
I haven't been on the
Okay, let's have some order here. Okay,
I just want to
Let's-
take a moment. Bill, these trustees are here because they want to help. They don't want to run people out of town and increase taxes. I am here because I want to help. I was handed a mess. That's okay. I'm not looking at the past. I'm looking forward. And what I need, and these trustees need, is support, not blaming. And if you, no, if, and blaming when you had a chance to make a difference and didn't,
Oh my gosh.
Oh, shoot.
Oh
okay,
my
you guys can
gosh.
excuse
That
yourselves.
comment,
You guys-
weren't even
You can
here.
excuse yourselves. I'm here to help. I'm busting my
Bill was
butt.
there to
All
help
of them
as
are.
well, but wasn't
All of
given
them
the
are.
chance.
But
All right.
criticizing and blowing up social media,
People need
Nobody
to be
has
aware.
criticized anybody on social media.
I was stifled.
Yes, they
I was
have.
muzzled.
No.
I've read my name in there.
Not from me.
all right.
Okay.
Let's
anyways.
get back on track here. Please keep your comments to yourself. If we need to have another public comment, we will. All right, so where are we at? We're at Treasurer's Financial Report. Any other questions or concerns with that?
I will just reiterate that we need to talk about cuts. That has not been part of a
What would you
discussion
like to
at
cut?
all. I don't know. This is the
We can
first.
talk about it.
It's the first meeting since I've been on the board. It's
Well,
the first meeting in a year.
Let's talk about it.
I don't know.
What are our choices of things that we can cut?
So there's four
No.
areas in a
Four
municipal
areas.
budget that we can cut. There is public safety, which is your
I think-
fire, EMS, and police services.
I think we should talk about the police situation. We're not in a, like Jackie was saying, we don't have a lot of crime in Cambridge.
Is that because we have police presence, though?
I don't
Are
think
we
so.
sure about that?
I think that's something
So
to consider.
It's something, well, and we also have contracts.
We have a contract that we,
That, that's part of it. So we have our police, fire, and
Six months
EMS.
with no police coverage.
We
Okay.
have,
Please stop. They're talking.
we have public works, we have personnel, and we have community programs. So where are we cutting?
Let's talk about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
How do the police contracts work? I don't know about that
They
either.
are 2-year, I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember if they're 2-year contracts or 3-year contracts. They,
it's 50-50 with us and Deerfield.
and they are set by the sheriff's department.
Okay.
So we have a contract with the sheriff's department to provide service to us out here. We have a deputy that works days who is going to be retiring in February-ish.
Technically, he'll be done at the end of this
End of
year.
this year.
But he will be done on site at the end of this year.
End of the year, okay. We have,
And why that's important is because his replacement won't
won't have
as much
26
senior,
years of
yeah, 26
service.
years, thus the pay won't be as much.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's an opportunity for some savings there, but it's still a contract. It's still a contract that's presented to us by Dane County, and it's presented to both Deerfield and Cambridge, that joint committee, and that committee decides whether they need to go back and look at it, or whether they,
basically, we have a single deputy on first shift, we have a single deputy on second shift, and we have a single deputy on power shift. So it's not like we have 8 sheriff's deputies.
And that is
Hanging
shared,
out here
shared between
with us
Cambridge
and
and Deerfield.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and then as well as when they have days off, then Dane County's just backing up the
covering it.
area. We don't have anybody in Cambridge and Deerfield. But our area is covered because of the contract, if that makes sense.
And Deputy Reynolds, I think he's 80/20 with the school, I got to look back at my numbers specifically, but I think it's about 80/20. The school district pays 80%, we pay 20%, because then during the summers and things like that, he is actually picking up some of those days off and things like that. So,
Okay, so then we move from that to fire and EMS, which is, we're already in the hole, about $167,000, I believe, right now, with third quarter paid.
So plus the fourth quarter.
Plus we have fourth quarter coming. We, that's something right now that Kristen's working with the existing members of Fire and EMS to try to see where we can cut and slash, but I'm sure in this future agenda item that Kristen has with Fire and EMS budget, that's the news that she's going to share isn't going to be very well received. Because,
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Not at the moment. But that's also why the four municipality meeting was going to happen. The biggest expense, well, I won't get into Fire and EMS yet, but you know, personnel. I mean, do we see anywhere that we have personnel to cut?
Oh, for us, like
Yeah.
Public Works, front office.
Front office. You know, there's that, and then community programs.
And how
Which-
much are we spending on that?
We have our, because I believe we funded just slightly over for the library this last year, right, than what we were required to do.
Yeah.
That's our,
I believe it was at 95,000.
I want to say it's like 10, not quite 10,000,
85,000?
something like that, that extra that.
Oh,
that we-
gotcha, because what we're required to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Yep.
very, yep,
It was nominal compared to previous years.
yes.
And with that, they were able to increase service hours. They, you know, offer different programs to the library. So there was that. There's the senior services, you know.
And how much is that?
That I don't
And
know.
that
What's our
is included in the
around?
packet. Yep.
What's the McFarland contract this year?
Give me just a moment. It's in the packet.
Like 27,000 or
It's
something
around
like that?
26, 28, something like that.
This packet was very overwhelming, and
Yes,
I
it
could
was.
not
I'll
make
agree
sense
with you.
of
I'll
all
agree
of
with
it.
you.
Page 78 of the packet is this contract for the senior outreach services. It is combined. Numerous communities contribute. And then let's see here. So the total cost is,
Oh, I see it.
and then, so Cambridge's cost for 2026 is $5,357. Okay, that is for the case management, my apologies. Then $11,511 for the meal site. They do other things, they do Alzheimer groups and so total cost by community, which is on the bottom, is that 5,000 I mentioned plus the 11, so $16,868 total. So that is absolutely something that could be,
The community services, that's all free to the seniors, or it's all free?
$5 a meal.
Oh, $5 a meal they
So
pay.
it's subsidized.
Yeah, gotcha.
Can that be raised? I mean,
Very good question.
the only place you get that kind of price for a meal is Costco for a $1.50 hot dog, but
That is, I would have to look into it a little bit, but I think the vast majority of that contract is set by the McFarland senior group that puts it on, essentially, or sponsors it for us. So that would be a question that we could look into for them.
You got a question, sir?
Just a thought, we're talking about cuts and slashes. We could consolidate too, that's another term we could use. Cambridge is a small town. We have 3 schools in town. My wife's a teacher. Community services for the seniors, could we consolidate with another town?
That's what we do.
We are with.
That's what we do.
Instead of cutting and slashing, we could consolidate. Maybe we take a look at the TIFs here in town and address that. Our taxes are frozen and we're losing revenue.
Those are all good ideas.
Could we have the meals provided by somebody local in town for a more reasonable price, or somebody, I mean,
Not likely.
it's not our
likely.
it's not
It's
our
not our
program
program.
either. We just
it's
contribute.
just so we go to, McFarland does the meals in Cambridge.
Yes.
And they service
But
other
case
communities.
Services,
Right.
that is
Doesn't.
what's important for those seniors.
Oh, for sure.
And some of our seniors, the only time they see anyone is for those senior meals.
I don't disagree with
So-
you at all.
Well, it's
Yeah.
other things as well. I think it's like
They do
nail trimming.
Yeah.
blood pressure
blood
checks, they do
pressure.
diabetes, you know, things like that.
It's a
I mean,
whole
they do health
gamut that
screening.
McFarland
Yeah.
has. Usually at the beginning of the year, they'll have a McFarland representative come and kind of state what the outlook is, what we're going to be paying for. But it's one of those things where it's a contract they present to us, and for us to whittle away different services is not.
No,
It's either we're going to take it or we're not going to take it.
It's not à la carte.
Yeah.
So the people that come here, are they from surrounding communities? And each community, like Oakland pays a percentage and Christiana pays a percentage?
Christiana, Dunn, Pleasant Springs, Rockdale, and McFarland all contribute. McFarland contributes 100 and for 2026 for their budget, it's 133,538. And then, but so it is Christiana pays 2,114. I'm not quite sure how it's all broken down, but like I said, the Village of Cambridge, for the 2026 budget, it's just a little under $17,000.
So that's another thing. What else do we have? Now, I know Kristen had put out a questionnaire on Facebook, and in that questionnaire you had asked particular questions. And I think that questionnaire should be, brought forward and through the village, or whether we need to put it on pen and paper. We need to really hear what's important to our constituents here of what we need to cut, right? You're asking the question, you're asking the right question, Sarah, but it's, for some people, the senior meals are their only gateway to socialization, right? So, and for some folks, hey, why do you have so many people working for the village? That might be, I think it's important that we garner all that information and solicit for that information to bring back to the village, so they can, we can figure out what's important.
The Piggly Wiggly bags.
Oh, beautiful, even better.
Everybody goes for the pig.
And they got to get it back to us.
So,
Except you only want
I think it's.
Cambridge residents to answer.
Yeah, I think it's important that we canvass the folks to see what's important, because what's important to me isn't going to be
I agree.
what's important to Bill,
No, I agree.
right? So, so I did the one online. I filled it out. I had my wife, asked her if she could fill it out at her convenience. But I think that's a good first step. But it's not by no means the end all be all.
No.
Right.
It's just conversation.
Yeah. And it's something to bring back to the board so we can make a more educated decision. So.
So I just would like to comment on that. And I wasn't avoiding it, I just didn't get to it. I did not put that, Kristen came up with that survey. I wanted the board to work as a whole to make sure all areas were touched. I got a few phone calls regarding this survey on why wasn't economic development in there, or different areas, and because all trustees did not make or have a motion to put that on our website and Facebook. That is why I didn't, because before it's published on the village website or Facebook page, I wanted to make sure all trustees made sure that they agreed with the questions in the different areas. And a few of the phone calls I got were from business owners about economic development, and that's an extremely important area of our budget.
I'm just curious, what were the questions regarding economic development?
That wasn't in the survey?
In terms of what?
Of for the budget, what's a priority for you?
Right.
Having the village put more funds towards growing businesses and creating economic development in the community.
But there's also question 9 and 10. What's the most important? What's the least important? They could fill that out. Have you gotten a lot of response from the online?
I just pulled it up actually. I've gotten 22, so not a huge, but better than I was actually expecting. And just, just to kind of touch on some areas. So the question reading, how important is it to you that the village maintains current levels of service? The public safety, the majority of the individuals said that was very important to keep. Fire and EMS, they said it was, the majority was very, very important to keep. Areas where things that were kind of split a little more evenly were things like park and green space maintenance, senior services, community events. Let's see, I'm gonna try to scroll down to that question that you asked about the 9 and 10. And there were some that they had said community events, let's see, sorry, I'm trying to get there. Some talk about personnel, and obviously no one has talked about specifically personnel cuts, but it was a situation because, I mean, we kind of operate on a skeleton crew, but it was mainly meant as just a conversation starter of what's important. Let me just see if there's other specific responses in that one.
So if we really want to take that into consideration, can we maybe approve that or add questions or look at it as a whole board at the next meeting so that it can then be posted on the website or posted if we really want to use that? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's a good launching off point, definitely.
Yeah,
could
I'm
that be on
open to
the
it.
next agenda, perhaps?
I just, my main purpose of throwing it out there initially was to get the conversation started for tonight. So, and these weren't my opinions, these were not, these are just as we've heard a lot about reducing costs and cuts and things along those lines, and typically in communities, these are the areas where you can do that.
I think it's really important that we listen to constituents.
Exactly, and that was the main point, is giving.
Kristen, what did you consider, because the board, I don't think, or the village, doesn't really fund any community events, so what were you looking at there?
So in that respect, it was things like, it would tie into things like permits for events and things along those lines. Like there's a lot of events that happen that
Like Firefest?
we give free permits for. So that's right, but
Okay.
but that's
That is what I'm working on as well.
yeah.
And there will be a nonprofit versus for-profit, but by the cone, by the signs, by the manpower, what is all needed, there's going to be, that's all going to be a change so that we are compensated for all of the time.
And I think one thing to consider is, yes, there is the nonprofit status, but that also usually has additional police resources, it has additional public works resources, things like that. So I think all of it has to be taken into consideration. Certainly want to keep festivals and things like that occurring, but
One of the things I was thinking about cut-wise is if because Cambridge has grown sort of accustomed to the leaf pickup and the brush pickup, and it's kind of a small town nice thing to have. But if in fact we get input back from our constituents that they would rather have ambulatory service than leaf pickup, one of the things that we could do to cut down is we could do the fee aspect, or we could if we decide that we don't want to do brush or leaf pickup anymore, we have a leaf vacuum truck that we have that we could sell. We paid a lot of money for it, but it's fairly new. That could be something that could go on the chopping block.
It's a great idea.
So it's those kind of things, I think, Sarah, where you're like, we need to cinch the belt up a little bit. And I don't necessarily want to cinch the belt up at the cost of the people that are providing us the services right now, like our front office staff and our public works folks. But one of the things that we could look at is some of the trucks and things that we have that might be of excess. So
I think we're gonna have to get creative so that we don't keep getting further in the hole.
do we need, and I imagine EMS is probably going through the same talks right now. Do we need 3 ambulances? They're selling 1 ambulance, but do we need all? So those are the kind of things that we have to look at, and the back and forth, Bill. Don't take it as we appreciate what you bring. I know I can speak for myself. I appreciate what you bring with the knowledge, and I appreciate it. But what I would ask is that just employ a little empathy and understand that we actually are all on the same page. I want you to be here and assist us as much as possible. We want to pick your brain. We want to work with you, because the confrontation back and forth isn't going to be helpful for Cambridge at all. I see you as a win for Cambridge. So just know that.
In my defense, I was stabbed so many times in the back when I was on the board. I was lied to. I was misled.
Right.
I was told one thing and then it wasn't true.
And there's only so much of that you can handle, and I understand that.
Now we gotta move forward.
Bill, we got a fresh start.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
And I would say, as far as like, if it's a nonprofit, like you were saying, there's still all the infrastructure things that go with it. At some point,
Yeah,
they need to
that
pay
snowball
someone.
is somebody's going to have to pay for that.
We can't pay
We all
for
Right.
want to
the
be nice, but it costs
nonprofit,
money.
but
Right.
they need to pay for
It's that
some
fine
of it,
line of nickel and diming your constituents to death and also paying their fair share. So that's what we're teetering on right up here with audit and finance, trying to do what's best for the village, but also being fiscally responsible at the same time. So.
I heard somebody say, you don't get anything for free, and that's true. That's very true, and that has to be taken into consideration.
One thing back on the fire and EMS, because that seems to be the elephant in the room all the time. It won't go away. It keeps getting bigger.
Yep.
I mean, I know we're in contracts and we sign these contracts and we do them, but at some point, do we just plain have to say, it isn't working with the commission together as a team, because it seems like they can't play nice in the fire EMS sandbox? Do we just say, when this contract is up, we're gonna go to Deerfield or whoever and get somebody else to service
What
our
do you-
area? Will that ever?
What do you mean by who's not playing nice in the sandbox?
Well, the commission, in the history of the commission.
Past commission.
Past
Whoops.
commission,
Yes. Yes.
Past commissions.
Yes.
Do you ever see a time where, because now it's expensive,
It
obviously.
is. It absolutely
But
is.
where Cambridge could just,
So one of the issues that we have to take into consideration is we are required to provide fire and EMS services in the community. The state statute, we have an ordinance that says we have to provide fire service. There is a statute in the state that says you have to provide it either through direct service, which is what we do right now, or you have to do it through contract service. So contract service, yes, Fort Atkinson, Deer Grove, things along those lines. When we look at contracts and we look at bringing in communities from Fort, Jefferson, Lake Mills, Deer Grove, we have to look at the response times, because they have what are called NFPA, National Fire Protection Administration standards, that they have to meet. So they cannot take on a service that it's going to take them 22 minutes to get to.
sure.
Like coming from Fort Atkinson to my house, I live over on Teacher Row, over behind the BP station over there. From the Fort Atkinson Fire Station, which is where the ambulance would come from, to my house, going speed limit is 21 minutes. Somebody could be dead in 21
Which
minutes.
is what Oakland's dealing with.
Exactly.
We're in Oakland,
Exactly.
so yeah,
Yep.
there's
Yep.
probably no chance.
Yeah, I mean, we have, right now, we have 4 very, very good commissioners who are committed to working together. We have, I think, what I would say is accomplished more in 3 months of being on the commission than probably in the last 2 years. I'm very hopeful and very, I look forward to going to the meeting with my commissioners, which is a refreshing change. But yes, you know, and the biggest cost right now with our commission budget is wages and benefits. And that's your biggest cost in pretty much any organization that you have. So it's figuring out how to reduce wages and benefits. And that's a big thing that we have to work on.
To stay competitive and have good people.
We're going to get back on track here with the agenda. And if there's anything else, Kristen, I see you got a H2 here for the fire and EMS budget, so we can bounce back on that one here. But right now we are on 7E, Treasurer's Financial Report. Anything else for?
I just wanted to chime in. I got my data. So like I had stated, the vacation payout was $11,304.40, and then the sick payout, which went to a health savings account with North Shore, was $47,900, and so that total of $59,204.40. So just under 60,000.
That was what I was thinking it was going to be closer to.
I know,
Okay,
the
thank you.
$100,000 threw me off as well, too.
Thank you.
All right, anything else, Lucy, for E?
No.
All right. Going on to 7F here, completed audit status report.
So the audit has been completed. I'm having a few hiccups trying to get it onto the website due to the file size. So I'm working with Town Web. All of the trustees have received the final copy of the audit, and I did resend it because I put final draft audit, and I think that might have confused some people.
Oh, final draft, yeah.
Because I put final draft, but that is the final audit.
So what he gave us was, or what you sent us
Yes,
was the final?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
Town Web has that file and will be putting that on for us because they have a way to do that technology that it won't support the link in the way that I normally upload documents, so that should be on there very soon. Yeah, and that is included in the packet as well, page 16 through 72. So it is also available via the packet now.
Any things of note for the
No.
audit status report? All right. Any questions for Lucy on the 7F? No. All right, moving on to 7G, the TIF district health overview. Having gone to that meeting, I asked specifically our Ellers what our health was for our TIFs, and all 3 are very healthy right now. Specifically, I believe TIF number 5 is the healthiest. So,
And that is, just for your reference, pages 472 to 499.
Thank you.
And that report is our annual report that we are state mandated to have, which was just completed.
anything on the TIF district health review? All right, moving on to 7H, departmental budget reviews. We discussed some of this previously, but police department budget as it stands?
So it's page 73 to 76 in the packet, and this is, like I had stated, just a draft that was presented to us at the last joint law enforcement committee meeting. And the next joint law enforcement committee meeting will be in November, and I expect us to have a finalized one for that one. but it will also, I believe, and I don't know how they can predict in November, it should be lower because of our tenured deputy on first shift retiring.
Yep.
So right now, it's showing our projection to be $371,567.97. But that's also, a lot of that is subject to change with Mr. Lawrence.
Yes. And we will be starting the interview process for the new position sometime in December, I think it was.
Carrie's trying to bump it up.
Oh, it
to
is.
even
Oh,
November. Just-
Perfect, excellent, just because of the date change on
Yep.
him. Okay. So, and yes, there will be, the likelihood of it being the same tenured, deputy coming into the role is pretty slim, so.
Okay. And usually, I mean, speaking from the past, and Paula can chime in here too, the Dane County Police, contrary to other entities, they've worked with us in the past when it comes time for like training, or there was a situation one time, Sarah, where there was an extra pay period in the cycle, and they were very transparent with us, and they subtracted that amount of money from our budget. When it comes to them going back and looking at things, they've always been very open and upfront with us.
Great.
So,
Good.
whereas previous fire EMS, they haven't been quite as open on giving us a bill and saying, well, just pay us.
Yes, we're rectifying that.
So, with that being said, we're gonna, any other comments on police department budget? All right, moving on to H2, which is fire and EMS budget.
So we had our budget session on September 17th. And kind of to all of our surprise, we actually completed a budget at that time. Usually it took several sessions. Tracy Brandel, who is the Lake Mills representative, is a queen when it comes to the budget and putting all the documents together. She's put together budget to actuals, which aside from when the Oakland representative was the treasurer, we haven't seen budget to actuals and things like that since 2022. So we are finally getting an understanding of our financial picture. Some of there were a couple things that we had to add into our budget. So in 2025, we have paid to date over $100,000 in bills that were acquired in 2022 and 2023. 2022, 2023, and 2024. We still had a couple surprise bills pop up. One of them is a $73,000 Stryker equipment bill that we're working on because we cannot figure out where that one suddenly came from after 2 years. So we're looking at all of the grant expenditures and things of money that we've gotten just to make sure that everything that was received was used correctly and reimbursed correctly, things along those lines. There is about $53,000 on a line of credit that was opened early, end of last year, mid of last year, to that we are, I just learned there was a balance on it about a month ago. To say the handoff from the previous commission was challenging. I'll go with challenging. I was handed 2 bills and a contract and said, good luck. So we're figuring it out on our own. So we're working really hard to do that. Yeah. Mhm.
doing an audit
Yes,
make
that will fall
sure-
in.
Make
Yep.
sure they have those bills and they're included in the audit,
Yes,
that they have their funding of it.
they get their percentage of it as well. Yes,
Mhm.
that was,
Get
that was
pushed back.
probably the first thing I was like, but this isn't all ours. But that's been the unfortunate part is we've been seeing things coming in that we just did not expect. One of the things I can say that we are very proud of is we made it entirely through third quarter and still had money in the bank, which is
That's huge.
unusual for the commission. Usually we were begging for payment prior to the quarter even starting.
Doesn't mean the communities have money in the
No, it doesn't mean the communities have money in the bank, and it doesn't mean that we don't have bills to pay, but you know, it's because there's still obviously another whole quarter left. But it's helping us pay down some of that debt, and it's helping, you know, to right that part of the sinking ship. We are, the budget did, that we put together did come in at about 1.5, which we are not proud of. But that is also why we have the innovation planning folks working with us and to complete that study. And one of the things they look at is like regionalization of services. EMS regionalization is a huge thing right now because each small community is having difficulty paying for their own EMS service. So Jefferson County right now is doing a huge, huge study on regionalizing services and creating kind of sections of counties where coverage will come from, and having, you know, ambulances in certain places. So that is absolutely something that we are looking at. And we have basically said everything is, we have to talk about everything. We have to consider everything. So our fire department came in at exactly the same budget as last year, which was helpful.
They actually cut their budget.
Last year they did.
$20,000.
Kristen, what is that number at?
For
The fire? Or is that 1.5 include fire?
the 1.5 included fire.
Okay.
So their operating budget for this year was, I'm going to have to dig for it. It was like 72,000. Thank you. Obviously, they have capital expenses. We have a squad that there's a payment on. There is the Plime event, which is the exhaust service, or that is installed in the station that is being paid off. And then we have the crew house for the EMS that we still have a loan out on. I am trying to work with the bank and see on the crew house to see if we can do some refinancing potentially, things like that. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do on that. So that is the 4 municipality meeting. It's going to be huge.
And I think it's important to also mention, Kristen, that, you know, Lake Mills brought forward at the meeting that it's not sustainable for them.
Yep.
Rockdale, same situation. So having that 4 municipality meeting, you know, there's going to probably be some pretty candid conversations about, you know, where do we see it? Do we see our fire department becoming a municipal fire department? Do we see our EMS becoming contracted out, like a Ryan Brothers type scenario, or, you know? So I think everything is on the table when it comes to that, but moving forward with 1.5 is it's going to crush us.
I would agree. I think
What portion of that would be team purchase?
Quarter.
Oh boy, I don't think we had that broken out yet.
That's okay. I was just curious.
I mean, we pay
We pay 48%
48%.
of that. So.
Oh, boy.
Something along those lines. So we're trying. We're looking at every possible. We did go through line by line on that budget and went through every possible cut. And we made some, but not enough. My hope was to come in at $1 million or under. Didn't make it.
So yeah, there's also this kind of this buzz around of how can we get Oakland back. At this point, we have to move on from that. You know, Oakland's got to want to, you know, engage with us on that, and they've already shown that they've gone in another direction. So for us to sit here and waste valuable time and energy on trying to get somebody back in that is not interested, it's a waste of our time, actually, to be honest with you. So.
And I think that's their constituents that have to work
Yeah, they have to work with their board.
with their board,
Like you're working with us, they have to have constituents there that bring it up. And right now, I think they're in a situation where everything is cost effective. But if you look at the contracts that they've signed up for, in the future, it's not going to be so cost effective because they're going to have to pay the lion's share of new apparatus. But that's their business. That's Oakland. They made a business decision, and I'm not going to begrudge them for it. But for us to sit here and idly wait for them to come back, it's not going to happen. So, and I'm not going to go kiss the ring either of Oakland.
Yeah.
So.
And I think one of the things, you know, it's been a huge discussion, but like there was a comment that was made at our last commission meeting because Chief Evans said, you know, if there's a fire in Oakland, we don't go. We can see it, we can watch it, but the way they currently have their mutual aid card set up, City of Fort Atkinson is not requesting Cambridge unless it hits, I think it's a second box alarm. I'd have to go back and look at the cards. So their constituents need to understand that just because we have a fire station that's a mile up the road, it may not be going to them. You know, our EMS might not be going to them because we're not part of their auto aid. So those, I think, are the things that the Oakland constituents need to know about.
Because it was sold as, well, we don't necessarily need to pay for it because it's mutual aid. Right? And, you know, you get the best of both worlds. So, anything else for Kristen? Is there going to be, I have a question, is there going to be another cutting session of the budget?
That was kind of part of the for municipality, is we wanted to look at it all together to see if all mines had other options. I did invite Mr. Small with the Rural EMS Association to come talk with us. And then also, like I said, I've been working with Paul Stevens from the Innovation Planning folks. He's been meeting with, he met with the fire department, he met with the EMS folks. He's been reaching out to local community leaders. He's reaching out to Deer Grove, to Fort, to Jefferson, kind of to keep the conversations going as well. So,
is there a scenario where we can downgrade our service from paramedic to basic?
we can. It's not an easy process. The unfortunate part, it would drop our budget by, with the current staff that we have, it would drop our budget by like $25,000 only, because we still have to staff the rig. Overtime and benefits is really what's hurting us right now. So we have to work on that.
Okay. I just thought maybe there was a scenario where we could somehow get back to the volunteer.
Oh, if we could get back to the volunteer, that would drop us significantly. But we can have, so right now we have to have a minimum of one paramedic on the ambulance at all times. The other individual on the ambulance is usually an EMT, whether it's an EMT basic or an EMT advance. So there is the possibility of bringing in volunteer EMTs. Volunteer paramedics might be a stretch, but yeah, that's the tough one.
Yeah.
And we are doing the union negotiation end of October, I think is when we're looking at that. So that's where we have some discussion room on some things. But the big thing.
Kristen, during that negotiation, are you going to address the overtime?
Yes. Yes. I am looking at, currently they work a 48-96, and so 48 hours on, 96 hours off. And what that does is that gives because we are an EMS only department, it gives anything over 40 hours is overtime, is at a 1.5, their rate of pay. And because of the 48-96 schedule, each full-time employee is built in anywhere between 16 and 32 hours of overtime a week. So it hits us hard. There's other schedules out there. There's a 24/72. There's a bunch of different ways that we can look at it. But right now the union contract says 48-96. So yes, that is a huge, huge discussion.
All right. Anything else for Kristen? And I'm curious, with that questionnaire that goes out, how important the fire and EMS is to our constituents, because, if you look at our age component of Cambridge, I think the average age of a constituent is 57 years old in Cambridge, so I'm curious to see what that is. But if there isn't any other questions, we're going to move on to H3, which is McFarland Senior Service budget. And Lucy, you kind of already did an overview on that one.
Yeah, and that's pages 78 to 80. Again, they just provided for 2026 if we do decide to proceed with that.
What are some of the services they have on there?
Absolutely. Give me just a moment.
Just for the public to kind of 70. What'd you say? 77?
78.
78 to 80. So they do the meals, but they do, I know that they do, they have like an Alzheimer's support group. They do nail trims. They do blood pressure checks. Did I say nail trims already?
Yeah.
Okay. There are other things I'm not down here, so I don't know all the things, but they use the community room a lot, as well as the senior rooms for the meals, but then they use the community room. And for the community room activities, a lot of times caregivers or other family members come with the senior. And so for 2026, again, that total for case management and nutrition would be $16,868. So $5,357 is case management. So that most likely is those additional services, and then the nutrition is the actual meals, the $11,511.
Okay.
And I do believe, I know that, I don't know if they deliver, but I do know that some people that are unable to get out of their cars or come in, even if they're ill or whatnot, they will pack up the meal and run it out to them as well. So there's different things that they do to accommodate.
And if I remember correctly from the past, they've done things like, Medicare educations, because it seems like with Medicare, something is always changing. Your benefits plan changes, your coverage plans, so they'll do that kind of stuff. They do like diabetes education, they do hypertension education, they will do, like you talked about, the nail trims and things like that. That's all part of the diabetic management portions that they can do. they can work with dietitians to learn how to, eat better, things like that. So they do provide a lot of good services.
And usually they would come in and speak to us. Do we know if that's going to be on a future agenda? Or McFarland, they usually come in and
Oh,
kind of give us.
no, I can reach out to them. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
That would be good.
Yeah, they usually come in and talk to us. To the
Absolutely.
board.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else on McFarland? All right, moving on to 8, correspondence. Any correspondence other than the survey, I guess, would be part of the correspondence?
Nope.
When are we going to go through, I guess, this will be number 9, updates and emerging topics for future discussion. When are we going to be ready to do our line item by line item,
Absolutely.
chop that we pretty much are going
Oh,
to be
that sounds
camping
painful.
overnight
Don't
here
say that.
doing?
Bring your
say that.
snacks.
Don't say that. So I did reach out to Ellers last week because I had a spreadsheet ready to go for the budget, but they prefer us to use theirs, so he was going to be sending that over. There's all sorts of behind the scenes pivot tables and things that they do to make sure that we're meeting all of the state mandated requirements for our budget and the levy limits, not necessarily just here's our amount in line by line. So that has not come yet, but I have a follow-up email out to them, but it should be soon. What I wanted to do is I have been just taking all the things and working and putting it in a folder. I have our clerk working on training forecasts and just different things with staff for supplies and whatnot, and putting that in so that once we have that, we can start going line by line, and then it'll come here, and then we'll take a look. And
It's still going to be under the specific codes, and
it's going to be, yes,
Okay.
specifically.
Good.
But then there'll be documentation to support. We're not just coming up with a number to throw a number.
Yeah, I think it's important that when we have the next meeting, the mandated expenses that we have have to come to the forefront. The mandated expenses. So that way we'll have a launching off point. And Sarah, you know what I mean by mandated expenses, ones that we can't get around. We have to pay for, whether it's a contract or whether it's, mandated from the state or whatever the case is. And once we have that, then we can see what we can work with, because that's usually where the malleable part is of the budget, is the salt and the, other things like that where, where we can mitigate. But there's, I want to say, a certain portion of our budget, what is it, over 50% of our budget is mandated, right?
Yeah.
If not higher.
Is-
So,
Can I just point out, in addition to the mandated stuff, can you also somehow designate in there, as you're going through the budget, what are pass-throughs?
Pass-throughs. Yep.
Because
Oh,
that's
yeah, yeah.
another
Yep.
thing, like the fire,
Yep.
the fire
2%
hydrant
dues.
The
stuff.
2% to
Fire
the fire
hydrants.
hydrants.
For fire hydrants, and then that goes to pay, because it's always a line item, why are we paying $150,000 for fire hydrants?
Yep.
It's a pass-through.
Yep.
So making sure that we're tying those in, I think would be important as well.
Is there, because I'm such a visual person, is there a way to either color code some of these things for us, just so that it's easy to pick out what is
Absolutely.
Mandated, what is passed through, what is, and the rest is ours to work on?
So the Excel doc will be formatted by Ellers, and they'll have all sorts of
Perfect.
tabs on the bottom. But yes, we'll be able to color code them. I know last year when I was given or this year when I was given the budget that was passed, then I added all the actual count numbers because those weren't included.
Yeah.
So we can make adjustments so that we can understand it better and make the decisions here. It's just the specific formatting and formulas and stuff. The Ellers will want us to keep those.
Because that was a huge learning curve for me last year, just starting with Public Works, is I'm like, oh, look, here, take this out. Nope, can't do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
so.
So yeah, if we can have that already, that'll be half the meeting right there, because we won't have to go through that and then have you come back to us, Lucy, and say, well,
Can't do that.
unfortunately, that's mandated,
Yep.
So if we can look at that particular color on there and say, okay, well, I can't mess with that. So because it's mandated, or hey, I have a little bit more flexibility with this, that would be helpful.
And I can put in wages and insurance. We know what that is already.
Yeah.
That can all be.
Any of those.
I could just put it in as is without any increase, and so that I have all now to enter.
Nice.
But absolutely, that we can start working on that, and I honestly suggest, and we'll see how much there is, but we might need to break it up like one chunk at a time.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get through the whole. But yes.
When are you going to get this information from Ellers? Because that coincides with my next question, which is going to be, when is our next meeting?
That is, I was actually going to bring to you guys, because I know that we have another workshop, so I do need to reach out to Ellers for when the board would like them to return and continue with the presentation. And that presentation is also included in the packet.
Can we do that for our next board meeting? I mean, I feel like we should keep the
We need to keep moving
keep the
forward.
momentum going.
I can absolutely reach out to them. I cannot.
Right.
So that would be October 14th. So that's a decent amount of notice.
Okay.
When with any of this, and so please let me know if you want to say the 14th, and then is it the 23rd? I don't have a calendar, but then
That's public. I think that's going to be a public.
I'm getting them all. Whatever the second board, if you want me to try to book Brian for both of those in October.
I think we should keep the foot on the gas on that one anyways.
Okay, I can send out an email requesting to see if he'll be available for both October board meetings.
I think that would be good.
But what I'm talking about is like the line items. How long do you think it'll take for the color coding for us to go through that with our next audit and finance?
For the Audit and Finance Committee itself?
Maybe that's that next Tuesday after our board meeting?
If that's not, that might be the Public Works meeting that they're talking about, though.
I have to look at the calendar to see what's available.
But sometime that week, potentially. So the week after, the week in between the two board meetings. I would say.
We have water sewer on Tuesday that week, and then Thursday, the 9th is when we're doing personnel. So we could possibly do it the Thursday, the 25th.
Thursday's the 26th.
Am I totally off?
Thursday is the 23rd. So we have a board meeting on the 14th, and then I have Fire and EMS Commission on the 15th for sure for our monthly meeting. That's not including the 4 municipality meetings, so. So could we look at 20, 21, 22, somewhere in there?
Just a second here. I'm bringing up our community room calendar. And October. So, all right, here we are. Village Board, the 14th. So 21st, we have water sewer. So the 23rd. We could do, there may be Public Works. Public Works is still in Vicki was working on that. Public Works is going to be on the 16th or the 23rd. Whatever one.
Try to get
Any of you
23rd.
on, yeah, I was going to say,
Try
are
to do-
either of you on Public Works or no?
No.
Oh, so we could put Public Works in the other room and,
When is it Public Works?
Vicki was sending out an email today to,
She did send out an email. I know she was calling people, but I don't know, I don't know which, because we were either gonna do.
16 or
we were gonna do one
23rd.
of the 2 Thursdays.
Yeah.
And I was open either day, so it didn't matter to me. And she was gonna call the other people on the committee.
got it.
How's the 23rd look?
I'm okay with the 23rd.
Yeah, and I guess if Public Works is happening, Vicki's leading that committee now, we could always do it in the senior room.
I can do that, but it would need to be 6:30.
That's fine.
That's fine.
All right. In that particular meeting, we'll be able to go through each line item and
Yeah.
Okay.
make the cuts, whatever we need to make the cuts. So. All right.
Great.
Anything else for number 9? If not,
I just want to say one thing. I want to thank everyone who comes and gives your input. And I know it's a heated topic, and I can tell you for myself, I know that there's a lot of work to do, and I appreciate the public input because we were elected as your voices. So we need to hear from you to give us those suggestions. So I welcome it. So
And Lucy, I just don't ever remember seeing your name specifically, on the Cambridge Facebook page being, I mean, if it wasn't me, then it's unfortunate, but I don't remember Lucy did X, Y, Z.
It was the administrator treasurer and the lack of treasurer reports. And part of that is because I had a lot of cleanup to do. And I'm releasing it, but there's still more work to do in 2025. And I've been keeping the trustees fully informed of my workload with all of the developments. So it has been very hard to balance the trustee job duties as well of all of our development, rezoning, new construction, as well as everything else.
Can I just ask a question about how the village administrator position got combined with the treasurer position?
It seems like a lot.
We could do either. You can either have a clerk treasurer or you can have an
But I
administrator.
just made the decision to do that.
And the reason we did that is because we thought Lucy was a strong candidate.
It just seems like a big job to do both.
But it's a big job also to do clerk,
It is.
treasurer.
administrator. Either way, it would have been a big job. And we've done it both ways. The Village of Cambridge has done it both ways throughout the last probably 14, 15 years. Where sometimes we had the administrator who's also the treasurer, and sometimes we had the administrator who is also the clerk.
yeah, right now Lucy's in this stage where she's riding the bull, right? She's riding the bull, and
Falling
she's
off.
trying to stay on. She's trying to
Trying to make her 8 seconds.
But the trustees as a whole have to back her up, and while she makes this particular job her own, right now she's received a lot of reciprocal stuff from the past staffs, and she's diving through that and trying to mitigate that. But at the end of the day, we're hoping here in the near future that she's able to tame the bull a little bit and make it her own. We're trying to facilitate that by giving her the ample amount of staff that she needs to delegate some of these things and assist her. But at the end of the day, she didn't really get a really good pass down and a really good bull, I guess, to ride. So.
Too good of a bull.
And I insisted that if I took on this role, I wanted to keep the treasurer part because I worked so hard in my short time to get things where they were. And I also knew that the clerk duties are are also a lot, and I was just completely immersed with all of the treasurer duties. And I wanted to take ownership. I think as an administrator, it is so vital that you have the full 100% understanding of everything financial, and you don't just separate that and have the treasurer take that without fully understanding. And our clerk is the deputy treasurer as well. And so I am working with training her to help offload some of the deputy treasurer workload, the less cumbersome job duties, but that takes time. And so sometimes it's easier. Right now she's got plenty of that she's doing for clerk duties. We're updating all of our processes, standard operating procedures. Everything is being looked at that we have here at the Village of Cambridge. So she's got quite the huge workload herself, but when I can get all of the employees in the office cross-trained, which they're not all, and they not always have been, when everybody's able to be cross-trained and able to pick and do things with time off and medical leaves and unexpected absences and things like that, it'll be a much more smooth running ship. But it's going to take time, and I'm trying to be patient with myself, and I'm not, because I've been thinking that the more I work and the harder I work, but it's not sustainable. So I'm trying to balance that more while serving the Village of Cambridge in the very best way I can.
And when you get into government work, you're not going to have instant gratification. So, but anything else for future discussion items?
So I'm sorry, we said October 23rd
23rd.
at 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
If not, I'll take number 10.
Blackwood will make a motion to adjourn.
Scholes will second.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. We are adjourned.